Hi, Anne.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you, Anne?
I'm alive. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Maybe I'll come out tomorrow to get that book.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Is it 7 o'clock? No, we're 5 minutes early, so we have time. Michael Cooper, Sarah Jones.
How is everybody tonight?
Good. Are you recovering?
I'm tired. I'm sore.
I bet.
I'm a little achy.
Okay.
Tired is really what got me today.
Yeah. That was my reaction to the vaccination too. We are live, just so everybody knows.
I'm okay with that.
But I know it left, I was fine by about right now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Don.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, wow. My computer has died, so I'm using a phone.
Oh,
So
great.
it's
Okay, well, it looks good.
just small.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for Rory, and I know he was on he came by, so he's on his way on, and we have Madeline. Okay, great. There he is. Okay. So he'll come one more time and then we'll get started.
What you doing? Oh,
Okay. Did we lose Matt? Oh, no, he's there.
I'm here. I'm just gonna keep my
Okay.
camera off. I'm not feeling up
Your
to.
name went away suddenly.
Oh,
You don't want us to see how bad you look, how bad you feel?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
So
oh, that's too bad.
I'm here though. I'm here.
Hello, everyone.
Rory?
Going. Is that Jennifer Chase? Look at that hair.
Look at that hair.
Oh,
Beauteous
maybe it's just COVID hair.
COVID hair.
You can't get haircuts. Mine
got-
needs a cut too.
I got some hair going.
All right, I think this is everybody. I had sent an invitation to Ray, so I hope he comes on. So Alice, just keep an eye out for him. And I don't think there's anybody else we're waiting for. So I would like to call this meeting to order. It is April 15th, 2021. And we are recording and live on YouTube for the town of Pine Plains. We're going to skip the Pledge of Allegiance and go right to the approval of the minutes and the town clerk report.
So I have approval of the minutes from the March 15th workshop meeting and the March 18th town board meeting minutes, and also the town clerk March report.
I read the March 15th minutes, and I know they reflect exactly as we were speaking, but when we start talking about a blob and we don't say what it is, people reading these minutes in years in the future are going to wonder what the heck was going on. So, you know, that's in there, right? Several times we were referring to the blob. The blob is a piece of real estate that may be donated to the town that we are interested in getting. And so that just, we need to define blob, what we're talking about in the minutes.
Okay.
What would be a good definition for that
Yeah.
space? What would you call
Well,
Well,
I
you
mean,
could call it
refer
the-
to it as blob, but you have to say what you're talking about. You
Yeah,
know, what it
or
is,
you
because
could-
it doesn't really say that there.
Call it the piece of land behind the car wash.
Yeah.
Other than blah, you know, like part, you know.
No, you've got to show it as a parcel of land contiguous with the.
Correct. Whatever it is, whatever it is.
Right.
We can get that cleaned
Yeah,
up.
Madeline, I can kind of review.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just like, I feel sorry for people who read that in the future that think we're all drunk.
it? It was us who was using that term all night. It's our
We
fault.
were, and it correctly reflects how we were speaking. There's no doubt about it. I'm not criticizing anybody, except us, maybe, perhaps.
Yes.
And we also corrected fossil, FOSL.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
great.
there's one tiny typo in the other minutes, on the second page in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th paragraph. It should be debt, not debut.
Okay, debut. Okay.
And with, I would move that the, those minutes, the March 18th minutes be accepted with that one change as presented, as provided. The others, I think we should wait on.
Okay, and I would just like to add that Ken Preusser's name is Preus, and most of it was corrected, except there was one that was missing in the big paragraph on the first page.
Okay,
Preussser.
okay.
I'll second your motion, Sarah, for accepting the March 18th minutes. If that
And,
is-
and I also move to accept the clerk's report as submitted.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone. Public, supervisor statement. Yes.
Oh, do you want to do the bills?
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the bills. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Okay, so I have general bill number 18354 through 18368. I have highway bills number 18369 through 18383, and water bills 3031 and 3032.
I move that we pay those bills.
Second it.
All in
Barb.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thanks, Madeline. Okay, now supervisor statement. I hope. All right. This past month, we've been working on the rough draft of the sewer feasibility study, which includes a smaller footprint for our proposed district. Mainly, it is the 32 businesses that comprise the business hamlet zoning in town. We met with numerous business owners, and I will be meeting with more to show them what is being proposed. The public meeting on this will take place hopefully sometime in May or June. We also held a meeting with the ad hoc version of the Town Beautification Committee, who are here tonight, to approve their design for the corner town park. It was strongly suggested too that we make this committee into a regular committee to help handle maintenance and oversight of the park. So people, please let us know if you're interested. We'd love to have you. Arbor Day is virtual this year. I will put this into my newsletter this week so you can tune in April 27th for a lively discussion on trees and their care. May 27th, the Zoning Review Committee will meet again to look at draft zoning changes. These meetings are on YouTube at Town of Pine Plains videos. May 1st is the unveiling of the Little Nine Partners historic marker, which is going to, well, I believe it's right in front of the pharmacy, because it will commemorate the Opera House built by Jacob Bowman in 1895. And as part of the occasion, Thayer Jarrell will repeat his performance of Jacob from the Evergreen Cemetery Graveyard Tour. So it's going to be great. 11 a.m. Saturday, May 1st, right in front of the pharmacy, rain or shine, wear your mask. I also had printed in my newsletter the Little Nine Partners first beginning rough draft list of ideas for the bicentennial in 2023. They're really wonderful. And I wanted to just kind of like say a few of them. We would certainly invite the state and county officials. Perhaps we could create a certificate, a logo for the event, a challenge coin, a video or photo montage wishing the town a happy birthday, give an award to the oldest and newest businesses, free dinner with entertainment and door prizes, create a passport program that participants could get stamped in town at the local businesses to encourage shopping, a scavenger hunt, kids art show, guided nature hike to the tower, bury a time capsule. You get it. But there's a lot of things on the list, and I wanted to include police department participation. Maybe we could do touch a police car or some kind of fun thing with the guys who could show off the police car. And so that's just the beginning, and I'm already excited. I went to Milan's bicentennial, and it was really neat. It was really neat, and they did a beautiful job on theirs. All right, our broadband committee submitted their final report to the federal, state, and county governments, and we still await their response, but I'm told, it's basically any day. We discussed also the offer of trails by Dale Mitchell on his property behind Stewart's, as well as the town acquisition of Pilch Drive and what that would entail. We're going to continue to work on that. In the midst of all this, the first design of the Hudson Valley project was submitted by the Durst organization. You can come to Town Hall and review the map. They have a website now, which is www.hudsonvalleyproject.com. I want to also report on the Pattern for Progress Fellows Program, which the town board sent me to as a fellow. The subject this year is institutional racism, and the time in class every 2 weeks has been invaluable to my understanding of how one can create a policy which actually promotes inequity. In our quest for more housing in Pine Plains, that becomes key. I have been put on the work group that concerns police department relationships with citizens. Lots of great ideas are coming out of this, and I can't wait to share them after June when the program ends. Finally, a word about bike safety and your kids. It is actually a New York State law that kids under age 14 must wear helmets have a bell on their bikes, lights on both the front and back, and operate their bikes in a safe manner. A lot of us think back on our own behavior once we got the freedom of having a bicycle, and operating it safely was not high on our list of priorities. I certainly remember racing around and crashing into things without a helmet. Wheelies were a goal. It's hard for our police to even want to enforce laws like this when we know how much fun it is to ride around on a nice day. So I'd like to ask the parents of Pine Plains to please take the time to talk with your kids about how to survive having a bicycle. There are often people on our local roads who don't know them well, or are in a hurry, or are distracted, and God forbid they don't see your kid losing control of a wheelie beside them. I understand that the adolescent ego is often tied to things like doing wheelies down Lake Road and jumping curbs on 199. Maybe we can figure out a place where kids can practice these kinds of fun things, but I have no ideas yet about how we might do that. So for now, please keep your kids safe above all else. It's not long before they start driving, and then the issue of safety becomes far more terrifying to everyone in town. I do not want to lose one more child to the roads here ever again. That's my supervisor's statement. And now I have a couple of public comments, and I don't know if anybody else received any this week. But I am writing as a Pine Plains resident to express my concern with the speed on Victoria Crossing Road. Much to my surprise, there was a great amount of traffic on the small dead-end road, many of which are speeding. And basically, this goes on to talk about, you know, delivery truck drivers and everyone else going way too fast on Victoria Crossing. The second one,
Well, just to go to that one though, Dara, it also says there is no stop sign at the end of Victoria Crossing, which I think that there should be a stop sign there. Because you're coming right out onto, what is that, Writers Corners Road?
yeah,
And, you know, if there's no yield, no stop sign, that's kind of a blind corner there. I mean,
yeah, I was
That's-
surprised to see,
sound-
but it's almost like a driveway into a development. But yeah, that seems strange that they don't have a stop or a yield sign there.
I can speak to that if you'd like me to.
Please.
Sure. That's actually something that's come up in the past. When I did my road inspections back in 2014, it was noted that the stop sign was missing. I did do some research. It obviously, it is not the town's responsibility to sign a road that abuts either a county road or a state road. So that does abut the county road, so it is a county responsibility. I did phone in back on May 1st of 2014 to the county and reported that that stop sign was missing. And again on May 15th, it still had not been replaced. I reported it missing again to the county. And then I have a note in here that June 12th of 2014, there was still no sign. I did speak to someone within the county at that point in time who basically told me that the sign was not going to be put back up. If people don't know what to do at the end of that road, they shouldn't be driving. In my training, I have always learned that if there's a sign that was there, and it was back in 1989 when that development was constructed and designated over to the town, or dedicated over to the town, there was an inspection that was performed, and there was a stop sign, a road name sign, and a dead end sign that were there at the entrance of the road when that road was dedicated over. So I just wanted to let you know where we're at with that. I don't know if someone else wants to try with the county and let them know that there's no sign.
I don't mind calling Mr. Balkin. I
Okay.
think he's been the one putting in the bridge.
Right. I
Maybe-
reported this back in 2014. I noted that I spoke to Steve Gill over there. That's where we're at with that one. But I do agree, it should definitely have the stop sign that the development was designed to have.
All right.
thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
And we're going to talk about road speeds, which roads we want to reduce speeds on next. in a little bit here tonight, so we'll get to that. The second comment I got was in response to your latest newsletter in which you mentioned the goal of creating a trail system throughout Pine Plains. I'm curious to learn about the intended use of the proposed trails. And, oh, no, this is, oh, shoot. This is the wrong one. The other one, oh, yes, no, it is the right one, sorry. As a lifelong hiker and horseman, I'd like to suggest Pine Plains offer its residents, which include a large and thriving equestrian community, a safe place to walk and ride unimpeded by wheeled traffic. Nearby, Millerton's Rail Trail already offers local cyclists an excellent alternative that more than meets their needs. However, the riders of Pine Plains and its surrounds have nowhere to safely and securely trail ride without risking the hazards of vehicular traffic, including bicycles, which can horses and cause accidents on narrow trails. Local parks all prohibit horses. Dedicated footpaths and bridle paths would not only enhance the natural beauty of the town, but would enhance our residents' ability to experience its beauty at a quiet, restful place. Please consider the creation of foot and bridle paths in Pine Plains, as well as my offer to assist in any planning and maintenance of the trails. And as we're kind of developing this idea of trails around town more seriously than ever, we can take that into account, I hope.
I received a public comment in person on that note a little bit too, asking after our ability to create dog-friendly portions and or dog park associated with our trail work.
I would love to see a dog park go in somewhere in town. I would absolutely love for us to have a dog park somewhere. I think down by the lake is a good idea, but I think it brings people, you meet a lot of new people with the dog park and it brings people into town. So I would love to see that, Roy.
Do they have to be fenced in, do you know, Matt? Or
I believe they do. I believe that you have to have like a double gate at the entry. Like, so in case like someone like comes out, like you need that little area. But a lot of the other towns that have dog parks are super successful, and people, it's a way of people to license their dog, which a lot of people don't, like license their dog every year because they would pay for a permit to go to the park because nothing tires out a dog like another dog. It's like a toddler and a toddler. You just let, you let those two play together. That's how they're going to get tired.
Maybe we should make a toddler park.
Well, we're trying to get a playground with the rec department here. So
I think a dog park would be cool, but on the other hand, I listened to the town supervisor of LaGrange screaming about his dog park and what a nightmare it is, lawsuits and everything. So we really have to look into it carefully.
I've heard Warren speak on dog parks.
Yeah.
I don't think Warren's a fan of dog parks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Is it's such a litigious item. But I think we should look into it. People want it. I don't know. It doesn't hurt to look. Any more public comments?
Well, this isn't really public comment, but I just want to say, I just being liaison to the planning board, I just wanted to bring the information that it looks like that the town center development is going to be able to go forward quite promptly. That some of the things that seem to be a problem have been cleared up, and I think that's a good thing for the town.
Right, and they're going to build condominiums, is that correct? Or they?
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah, okay. Great. Just in case anybody wants to review that, it's on the Town of Pine Plains YouTube page, which is Town of Pine Plains. And then you go to the videos area and you'll find it. Okay.
Pretty much where they're watching right now.
Oh, yeah.
And one other thing I have, I signed up, I want to go to this affordable housing program. It's online, a PACE program in May. It's $40. I'd like authorization to do that.
I make a motion, we allow Sarah to do her affordable housing project seminar.
Second.
Gonna vote on it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Sarah. I have also the housing committee that I want to talk about later. I've got people interested in being on a housing committee now, so we could get going with something like that. All right, Warren, is there anything you have for us in particular?
I don't have anything in particular unless you want me to briefly discuss the Durst project, bring the board up to date on that. We had a planning board meeting last night.
That'd be great.
So basically, as you probably know, if you were watching YouTube, the Durst project is now moving ahead. If you recall, we had a series of meetings about a year ago for the pre-sketch application process, in which the town board established the base density for the project and the requirement of open space. And they've taken a bit of time to get their plans together, and they have filed a sketch plan application, a rather complete one, with the town. And we're starting the environmental review process. That's the first step in the review of this project. And it's anticipated that the town board will be the lead agency in the environmental review, the seeker review of the project. Mylan will certainly be an involved agency, although it's possible that Mylan may seek to be established as lead agency, as they did last time the project was before the board. So the schedule, we had a very good meeting last night, and the schedule at this point is that on May 12th, we're going to have another planning board meeting, and at that point, the planning board is anticipated that it will declare its intent to be the lead agency in the seeker review process. And when we do that, we will have to solicit to all the involved agencies, including Mylan, and there are a number of other involved agencies, including the town board, and make a determination based upon the response that we get, depending on whether any other involved agency wants to assume lead agency. We're hoping that it's not going to be contentious or a problem. And hopefully at the June 9th planning board meeting, we will introduce the scoping process to the planning board. It's a rather complex process that we have to go through. And there'll be a discussion of the purposes of scoping. Scoping is basically a creation of an outline by the lead agency as to what the lead agency wants to see in the draft environmental impact statement. And just these are anticipated dates right now. They're not scribed in stone, but on June 23rd, we're anticipating that there'll be a special meeting of the planning board to declare themselves lead agency. And at that point, we will discuss the content of the draft scope for the draft environmental impact statement. The next date that we have on our tentative agenda is July 21st, in which case, and when we will have hoping to have a public scoping session. And this will be the opportunity for the public, for the planning board, all involved and interested agencies to weigh in on the scope of the draft environmental impact statement. And that we anticipate will be held virtually. And we have another tentative date for July 31st, which I believe is on a Saturday, which will be the second scoping session. And we're anticipating that will be an in-person meeting. we haven't established a venue for that. Last time we had one for this project, it was at the high school auditorium. I think the outline that was prepared by BFJ Planning should be posted online if anybody wants to see that. There's a little bit more detail. And the project is moving along. Just so the public understands, the project as it stands now, that's been submitted in sketch plan, is for, I believe, 237 units in Pine Plains. Maybe 30 units in Milan. I have to remember don't remember the exact number. And it's residential at this point. There's 3 separate areas or 3 integrated areas of residential development for the project, the most intense being around Lake Carvel. And those documents and plans are I assume are also available online if anybody wants to inspect them. There is no resort complex proposed at this point as part of the sketch plan, but the Durst organization is planning on discussing as an alternative to the current project during the environmental review, an alternative to the project which would include a resort aspect to the development. We would anticipate if that were done, it would probably be sited around Lake Carvel, which would result in an amendment to the current sketch plan for the project. And basically during the environmental review, the lead agency and the involved agency and the public will be reviewing the possibility of an alternative plan, which would include the resort, and we would have an opportunity to evaluate the environmental impacts of that plan if it comes to fruition, and whether or not it makes sense from an environmental standpoint and the interest of the community to have that as an alternative plan to the project. It's quite a formidable application process that we'll be going through. I think when we went through this before in the first iteration, it was, if I recall, it may have been 3 years or more. We never even completed the final environmental impact statement. It was such an intensive process before it was abandoned by Durst. So we're hoping this will go through more smoothly and bring something to fruition for the town. That's all I have at this point. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Question?
I just want to add one thing, which is that it's coming in under the conservation subdivision zoning provisions of our code. And just so you know, the density for the entire acreage, the way it sits at the moment, is over 11 acres per house. I mean, that doesn't mean each house has 11 acres, but that's the density that they've arrived at, which I think is really very significant to us because it's a lot of open space.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Just so the public understands, the original project was proposed as an NND, Neighborhood Development Project, under our current zoning law. That has been abandoned. They are not, this is just a conservation subdivision under our current zoning law. Milan has not the exact same law, but a similar cluster subdivision set of regulations. And they're also are not seeking any credits for the abandonment of the Carvel development that already exists. So that development, with the multitude of lots that were created many, many years ago, will be subsumed by this new project, which I think is a benefit for the town.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to discuss with me. I'll be around. I'm hanging around. I'm not leaving, but
Hang out. Any more questions? Okay, then let's move on to department reports. Highway Department, Heather, you want to take this or you want me to?
Nope, that's okay. I'm here. I have to apologize. I'm trying to do 2 meetings at the same time here. I'm on a college meeting with my daughter as well. So anything that anyone has for me, if we could address it now, that would be fantastic. But just to go through my report, I'd like to report that the road sweeping that was performed on the town roads is now complete. We did have a new company in this year and they did a fantastic job. I have also received word that the CHIPS funding runs have been released, and good news, we will be seeing an increase in the aid this year or for this fiscal year. Also like to report that the reduced speed limit signs have all been installed. We have the reduced speed limit to 35 miles an hour on Bethel Cross, Carpenter Hill, Chase, and Streever Farm roads. In terms of what the crew is working on right now, we are cutting shoulders in order to start preparing the roads for our improvement projects this summer. And the only other things that I have was that I see on our agenda here, we have the tank replacement bids. I really forwarded that on from Valley Energy. It was just an inquiry that I made to them just to get a feel for how much different it was from that original proposal from Optima Environmental that was obtained, I think, at least a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a difference in another company. If we do look into replacing those fuel tanks at the shop, we definitely need to procure that in a different manner. I believe it does need to be a prevailing wage project. And I definitely would put that out as a more formal bid request on that. But what I obtained was just basically to show that there are definitely some disparities out there. So if it's something that you'd like to entertain, we definitely are not looking at that very large price that Optima Environmental put out there. Other than that, I know, Dara, when you came to visit the shop, whenever that was, several weeks ago, you had discussed about the brush pile. I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up at this meeting.
Well, Don and I were talking about this.
Mhm.
Don, you were comfortable with June to get rid of the brush pile?
I'm comfortable. Yeah, I was down there today to look at it, and, you know, it's any time now. I haven't heard back yet as far as disposition of the chips, but I'll find out something in the next week.
Okay, and you have the
Right.
contact info from that man at McEnroe,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. That's all I have for my department. And then I know, Dara, you wanted to talk about the speed limits. And another group of roads.
Yeah, I mean, we could switch that up to now. That's in your background materials, everybody. And it's, what I did was I sent you the old resolution, which had documented, it's a very old resolution from 2019 that we started out with all the, it was our wish list for the roads we wanted to change speeds on. And then the question has become sort of, what do we want to do next? Because we've got the first 4.
Right. So with regards to, if you're looking for a recommendation from me,
Yes.
I can definitely tell you that over the years, the complaints that I've received through my office, which is why I also suggested you taking a look at any accidents or reports of complaints to the police department to try and come up with your next list. But I do definitely see as I stated in my email, the need for a reduction on Schultz Hill Road. And with that, as I stated, Brooks is connected to that road, so it only makes sense to have that included as well.
Okay.
And the other road that I've received numerous complaints on over the years would be Johnny Cake Hollow. If you wanted to keep it within the same area, that's why I put those other roads on there. We do have Prospect Hill, which attaches to Chase Road, which was recently reduced. And then I think that puts you at the 4, unless you wanted to go out a little bit further. But I do definitely recommend talking to the police department as well as looking through your records for complaints. I do know that there are some individuals that are concerned about speeding issues on their cul-de-sacs as well. I personally, because they're cul-de-sacs, I think that they are not as high priority for seeking a speed limit reduction on as it would be a longer road, a more traveled road. So that would be just my personal opinion.
Okay,
Could I ask quick, Heather, when reviewing the notes Dara sent along there from our resolution,
Mhm.
it states the speed limit adjustment for Chase Road was going to be 30 miles an hour, but I noticed the sign that went up, and we probably voted on it that way too, I guess, was 35 rather than the 30.
That's what the state, the state actually came back with the recommendations,
Okay.
and all of those roads that were approved for a reduction down to 35.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
so we can, you know what, we've got your recommendation. We'll take this up in, I think this is part of new business. Yeah.
Okay.
So, any other questions for Heather on that?
Heather, one of them is a county road. Are we?
Which road?
You have Bean River Road, CR 59.
I don't have that down as on a list. No,
No, I wouldn't think that we would be,
no,
that
No.
wouldn't be something that we would request.
no, I've not through our department. No. Where
Right.
did you see that one, Don? Because I don't have that.
It's
It's
on
the
the old
second from the
resolution.
bottom resolved.
Oh, that's from an old resolution. Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from.
Oh, okay, so that just came through.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
That's actually copied off of the original thing from like the 1990s when we tried to get speed reductions way back then.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in the email that I sent out today, that I listed the roads that we have that are town roads that still are not, they have not been approved for reduced speed limits. And that, I would say that would be the list that you should work off of, definitely.
Heather, how does it having all these different speed limits for different roads affect the idea of having an area speed limit?
Well, I think years ago there was an area speed limit set when it must have been either the town asked the state for it, and it was designated from Hicks Hill Road back to, I believe, right by the
Yeah,
town hall.
there were
Then-
two separate authorizations to do area speed limits.
Right.
But
Mhm.
now we have 30-mile-an-hour area speed limit signs up in some places, and yet adjoining that or near to them, we have various other speed limits. So I wasn't just thinking about the uniformity of it.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah. The only thing that I know is that that area speed limit was set years ago, and with this new asking of the state for the reduction, it didn't come through as area. It just came through as reduced. That's why the signs show just a regular speed limit 35. I don't know if that's something to take up.
You know,
with the state.
it's kind of conflicting.
Yeah, I know. In whatever manual it is that they put out through the state for the area that was set for the area speed limit, those particular roads are listed in there. I don't know if there's an option to, in the future, add to that. That might be something to look into, but we've already got those other signs up to the tune of almost $2,000. So. Yeah, does anyone have anything else for me highway related or any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to log off and head to my other meeting.
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Heather.
Thank you.
Okay, building inspector. I have Drew's report. Total building permits year to date are 11. 3 were issued this month. 1 certificate of occupancy, 10 certificate of occupancy searches, and 13 site inspections performed. Again, we are at a record for building permits. At total for the year to date is 16. Oh no, wait, total for the year to date 2021 is 11. Actually, last year or 2019 was our biggest year, but we're only in March, so, or April, wherever we are. Okay, and that's that. Police department. John's report, 15 hours in court, 145 on patrol, 32 on administration, 23 on investigations, 26 on training, 12 and a half on vehicle or other kinds of things. 18 complaints, 1 fire EMS call, 30 traffic warnings, 26 tickets, and 1 arrest. And this month, Officer in Charge Hughes and all the officers attended a procedural justice training at the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. And just to remind everybody, last month they did anti-bias training. They've been doing weapons training pretty much once a month. They have been doing a training session on some topic. And they all go. Officer Camburn, after many hours of interviews and depositions, arrested 2 subjects that reside in Connecticut, resulting from crimes committed in Pine Plains. That was a big investigation for him. I just want to add to this that they have requested that I apply for a grant so that they could get a license plate reader, which would bring Pine Plains up into the same level of technology as basically every other town around us. So this reader is like an instant reader for the plate. And it'll pick up things like uninspected cars, dropped registrations, things like that. But it also helps them work in conjunction with other departments who might put out a stolen car or something like that. So I think I need permission from you to apply for the grant. They can't buy it any other way. So if we don't get it, that's a moot point.
I'm okay with you writing the grant if you want to write a grant for it.
Okay.
So that's a motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's pretty expensive, so we won't even entertain it if we don't get it. All right, water and engineer.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, I'll start with water. Water usage continues to be up. It's running high at 68,000 gallons per day. The first quarter meter readings were taken and the bills were sent out at the beginning of April. And in addition to sending out the bills, we sent information to the customers regarding signing up with the town's one-call system. So hopefully Alice has been getting some information from that, because I do think that that'll be a useful tool moving forward. Along with that information, the 2020 annual water quality report was distributed to all of the customers. Additional copies are available at the town hall, and an electronic copy was provided to Alice, so that way she can place that and post it onto the town's website. And we've sent a copy to Dutchess County Department of Health, as well as providing a certification to the New York State Department of Health as well, indicating that it was distributed to the customers. That is a requirement of the state health department. Once the meter readings were reviewed, we had to go back and replace 6 meter heads. 2 water meters had to be replaced. I'm out of stock of the meter heads. So that's actually the items that we read. That's what sends out the radio signal that records the readings. So I had ordered a case of 24. So they're not cheap, but they're a great useful tool that we continue to utilize. So those have been delivered. So we'll continue. I still have several that have to be replaced. 6 total construction markouts were performed in the last month. The chlorine feed pump for pump number 1 or pump number 2, well number 2, has developed a leak. I've replaced that unit with a unit that was I had in stock as a spare. So I'll need to actually replace the spare with another pump. Unfortunately, the older units that we were utilizing were wonderful units. That chlorine pump, with just performing normal maintenance on it, has lasted well over 15 years. So it was a great unit, but unfortunately the manufacturer doesn't make the unit and it doesn't support any spare parts for it either. So we'll have to go to a different manufacturer. The estimated cost of that pump is about $800 or so. So again, I always like to have one sitting on the shelf in case there is a failure, obviously, just like we were able to use this last one. So I'll get that ordered. The leak detection equipment that the town board had authorized for purchase was delivered. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And I've been out conducting leak surveys. Unfortunately, as of today, I still haven't found any major leaks, but there's still areas that I have to go and look down by the lake, heading towards the beach house and the Lions Club area. And then also back behind the school. I haven't gone back in those areas yet, but that'll be done this weekend. So hopefully we'll be able to find something because we are continuing to run high.
Great.
Any questions on water from the board members?
Did you happen to look at the spigot behind the softball field on the?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, I did take a look at it. And that's before my time. I didn't recognize it, didn't know anything about it. I actually called Doug Weaver. Doug Weaver recalls that unit, but his recollection is that it is not connected to anything. And it's actually, he doesn't even know where it was, if it was cut, where it was cut. He also recognized that it was there, but he doesn't remember it being used or useful.
Thank you.
Yep.
And one other quick question with your water/engineering. We're going to be talking about it later in the meeting, so maybe we'll just bring it up there if you're going to stick around. But do you have any experience with fountains?
Yeah. As far as ornamental fountains and so forth.
Yeah. Are you going to be
Yes.
sticking around?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll answer that then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So regarding engineering, a few items. I've met on Hicks Hill Road. So the notice of award has gone out for Hicks Hill Road to the parent low bidder for that contractor. So he's in the process of obtaining his bonds and insurances and so forth, and he'll be submitting that to me for review. I've also sent them a copy of the contract that was in the bid documents for signing. So I'm hoping to get those back soon. I've also met with the representative of the property owner out at the site. And very nice. They're willing to provide the easement. At the end of the meeting today, I do have a description, so I'll forward that to Warren. So Warren can prepare both a temporary and permanent easement for the work on that. One of the items that they had requested that be included within the easement is just notification that if the town were to enter onto the property in the future for any type of maintenance,
David?
that they be provided with some sort of,
Ola Ford?
whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours, something of that nature, which it should not be a problem. So once we get that information together, once the contract's signed, then I'll have the information sent over to the supervisor for counter signature, and we can get the contractor started on the work. All right. Regarding,
I have a question.
oh yes, I'm sorry.
On the Hicks Hill Road, is that a project that we could allocate funds that we're getting through the federal funds?
Through the stimulus program, if you
Yes.
would, or?
Yes.
My understanding is if it's associated with life safety issues, and this one is the life safety of the, as far as the continued use of that road, I believe that it does qualify for that.
So we might keep that in mind. I don't know what our plans are with that money. I was also wondering whether we should be planning a water project, because that would qualify also.
It does, but we have some saved up in a nice amount of money. We could actually almost, I think, pay for our entire third phase of the Pipes Down 82.
Well, those are things we should be thinking about.
But we have that money.
Okay.
What I'll do is, we're actually in the midst of a few water projects now. So we actually obtained, there's one up in town of Greenport in Columbia County. There was a that was a much larger project, but I do have some up-to-date numbers based on some recent bidding. So what I'll do is I'll update the cost for, I'm assuming the board's referring to running down Route 82. That was the next section.
Yes.
Yes.
That we were proposing. So I'll update the cost estimates for that and distribute that out to the board members. So that way, at least you'll have that as part of your decision-making process.
Thank you.
Okay. Regarding North Main, I've received copies of the insurances from the contractor and their asbestos certificates and so forth. I've provided them with a copy of the contract as well for signature. I'm hoping to get that back beginning of next week. So that way I can get that to the town supervisor for counter signature. I've also received a tentative schedule, not from as far as a starting date, but the overall project length. So the contractors has identified that the asbestos abatement, now this is related to both properties, both 8 as well as 12, because they'll be doing them both at the same time. They anticipate approximately 10 days regarding the asbestos abatement, which includes the air monitoring and so forth. Once that's done, the actual demolition of all of the structures and the removal of the structures will take approximately another week. And then backfilling the foundations and restorations will be another week. So in its entirety, it's roughly a 4-week process. So just wanted to bring the board members up to speed as far as that goes. Again, once we have contracts signed, then we'll have a pre-construction meeting, and contract would actually set a date, a specific date of when it would start. And obviously I'll provide the board members with that information as well. Obviously we'll have to obtain, I'm going to forward the insurance information over to the building department. So that way a demolition permit can be obtained, through the town's records as far as that process as well. I believe those were the engineering items that I had, unless there were anything else by the board.
No, if you can stick around till executive session, it would be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are on to the Recreation Department. Michael and Jen are here.
All right, so I'll just start off since Jen's in here. We're going to talk about beach stuff. Recently, we were contacted by the town of Ankrum about allowing their residents to participate in our summer camp. It falls along the lines of us looking at creating some form of shared services between the towns, providing access to our programs and facilities in exchange for our residents possibly receiving access to theirs. But I guess I'll let Jen start off and speak to that, and then I'll share my thoughts as well. So I know Jen is on the move. So
hi guys, hi everybody. Yeah, so pretty much we're in full camp and beach prep, as full as we can be. We are a little restricted right now due to guidelines from the health department. I did hear back from them this week, and they told me basically they are held up due to not having guidelines from the state. They told me I could move forward using last year's guidelines. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm hoping, like last year, I just rewrite protocols as things change. But just to give you an idea of how backed up they are, normally by now, all of my paperwork is in and being processed by the end of March. I haven't even gotten their packets to start paperwork, if you can believe it. So it's kind of a crazy situation, but like I said to Dara and Michael earlier this week, we have everything from last year, so we're set up. So all we need is the word go, and we're set up because of everything that was done last year. So just to talk a little bit about the situation with Ankrum, I've talked to their camp directors. And I've talked to Art Basin, who I think runs their camp program. They're looking to just throw around some ideas. He's saying basically if we have the same guidelines as last year, which is what our health department said would maybe happen, they will not be able to open their camp or their pool. So that puts them in a tough situation. We're trying to figure out how we could help them out. I was more of thinking like working with them and helping them with guidelines. And I think they're more thinking of actual children coming to our camp. So with the two different county health departments, because even though we're close in proximity, we run under two different counties. So we'll keep you informed on that. I'm going to keep moving forward with meetings and discussing options and keeping minds open so we can service as many children as possible. But in my eyes, Pine Plains Summer Day Camp, it's Pine Plains residents first. So we're gonna move forward and explore options and then keep everybody in the loop. And the same thing with the beach. We're preparing and getting things ready. Looking forward to an exciting season, maybe with a little bit less restrictions than last year and a little more action. So if anybody has any questions, I can.
Jen, didn't you say that the it looks good for the middle school age kids?
So yeah, I was really pushing hard this year to get those middle schoolers back into camp. You know, those 7th and 8th graders ninth graders who really need somewhere to go. And I got the word from the school that the school buses, summer school is going to run this year. So I've been in contact with the school business office and the transportation department looking to move forward with that because that's the biggest key for that group. And I'm really happy to say that I will have access to buses and they're typing up, they're preparing protocols for me right now. So, they're hoping I can make all that work, which anybody who knows me, I'm gonna put 100% into that to make it work for those kids. So just following all the COVID protocols and basically making sure it's cleaned and the campers are doing what they need to do to be for safety. So that is exciting because I feel like those were our children in our town that were in school the least, and they had nothing last summer. And so I'm really hoping to get them back in, with the camp. So yes, I'm excited. I'm glad you brought that up, Dara, because it is good news for me.
It's terrific.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about the situation with the Ankrum, please just let me know. Don't hesitate to contact me. I think I can turn my camera on. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I think that was good. I was just going to say, maybe if we get a workshop meeting, we can then sit down and further talk about all that, because I know there's a bunch of different things with rec, and that would be really cool. But I don't have any questions for Jen, and if anyone else does.
I think we're good.
All right. So I still have a couple more things involving recreation. Our town baseball softball program opening day is going to be this Saturday at noon at the Pine Plains baseball softball fields. Please be there at noon at the concession stand, and our baseball committee members will direct you from there. Please bring a glove and equipment, and of course, also bring your mask. Myself personally, I would like to make a huge thanks to the new baseball committee. So it's a subcommittee of recreation. Our cleanup day volunteers, including local FFA members and other high schoolers who had participated in our programs and came to help out. Ted Howley and our new Little League president, Rich Tamburino. So without them, a lot of the stuff you see going on down there would not have happened. We got our scoreboard repainted, new lettering on it. We redid a lot of the fields. And so we're seeing a lot more community engagement, and it's all thanks to those folks. In regards to our baseball fields, I was contacted by an independent film producer. They're working on an upcoming film production. They wanted to find out if it is permissible for them to film at our fields. This video production doesn't conflict with any of our planned programs, and I think it would be a great opportunity to allow them to do this. So I'm just going to read you the email that I got from them after we talked with them today. And the person who is writing this email is Lee Capola. He's a former resident of Pine Plains. So he said, we are seeking to film a portion of our feature film, Rally Caps, a heartfelt family baseball film story geared towards kids this summer, and are requesting the use of the field, a Field of Dreams. So that's our Corner Little League field. Some of you might know on the back of the concession stand, it's referenced as a Field of Dreams brought to us by our local community partners. They are looking to film at that field for 4 consecutive days, sometime within the window of August 15th and Labor Day. They are currently formulating their production schedule as they get closer to that date and can provide the exact 4 days that they would need. He asked that when I talk to the board, it may be worth mentioning that I grew up in Pine Plains, went to Seymour Smith and Stissing Mountain, and played on that exact field when I was a kid. They appreciate our interest and look forward to working with us. So ultimately, myself as a director, I obviously have to pass that to you guys to approve, and that's something we can talk about later on. They wouldn't need to make any modification. Oh, did I lose you? My internet's terrible. That's why my video's off. But where did I lose you? Did I lose you somewhere? Or?
No. I was just going to say that we would need a certificate of insurance for the production.
Yep. And I talked with them about that, and I said, obviously today wouldn't be the day that everything gets figured out, because we just started talking yesterday, but they are aware of the insurance requirements, and they don't need to make any modifications to our field. They just think it's the perfect location to shoot those scenes for their movie. So that's kind of that. And like I said, that'll be up to you guys to discuss, and hopefully we can talk about that at a workshop meeting. Also, I don't know if you all have received it. I just got it today. Our current recreation secretary is stepping down for personal reasons. I just want to say I appreciate her help and support with our organization and the execution of our programs. And I would ask the board to dissolve this position as it is no longer necessary. So when I first started doing this, I thought I really needed the help, and she was very helpful. But now that I've been through a year of reforming programs and a pandemic and reorganizing some board stuff, I'm pretty confident that that position is no longer necessary. So that's something I guess also you guys have to approve and figure out. But that's pretty much it for recreation in those regards there.
So the proposal then is to accept Kelly Nielsen's resignation and then to fold her position into the recreation director's position.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Michael, it's gone so much better, and our working relationship is really good. So I have a lot of confidence that this will work really well.
My question, as of for the movie, is it ordinarily, does a movie ordinarily make any kind of financial contribution for the use of a field? I have no idea what the standards are and whether.
I'm actually not sure either. I mean, different places might rent them out and that kind of thing. They're more of a low budget kind of indie film thing, and I can forward the email to all you guys that I got from them, and of course they're willing to talk with you guys as well and explain it. Basically, they're filming at Camp Scatico, and it's a movie about like summer camp and baseball. And then their scene, would be at our field, like for the major game of the film or whatever, would take place at our field. And I told them that because with all our rec programs, what I've been doing is just promoting the use of our facilities to kind of get the word out so we get more people in for business. And so we haven't been charging people to use our fields. And I also told them that what I'd really like is if they can in their film, you know, if they do need to put up flyers or waivers or those kind of things like on our fence, that they include those local business sponsors that we already have on our fence. And they kind of seemed willing to do that. So like I said, I mean, I'm not a movie producer, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it and what that is. I also, you know, if someone were to show up at our fields in a less, you know, professional way, I feel like it's just an open use field. So I don't know what we would consider charging them for that. And I think it's a great promotion of our fields and facilities too. So that's something that I guess we could talk about and figure out with them and amongst ourselves.
And Sarah, if it's not interrupted, like if we don't have any programs going down there, I don't think it's necessary that we, you know, charge them, especially if he's a local guy.
I just have no idea what the sort of standard practices are.
Lauren, do you have any experience?
I have experience.
Yeah.
I had 12 movies made.
Okay.
My experience is that usually a high budget, like, or a network or a real big producing company would donate or give us some money for it. But an indie film has no budget. So,
like they're not making any modifications to our fields and stuff either.
No, but-
like a big budget one would, and that's why they'd pay, because they can just do whatever they want with all their money.
I have no problem with it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I've done a lot of those, and I've actually drafted amendments to town code to provide for licensing for movies, because it's happening more and more. We do a lot of them in Rhinebeck and Hyde Park. And usually we require a contract, and the film usually produces a contract. They usually have a draft contract. They may not, but we would want a simple contract with an indemnification clause and the insurance. And if you want,
and they actually said they would do that. So I talked with Lee Capola, and I apologize to them if they're watching this. I don't remember what their positions were, but Lee Capola and Gary Sales, and Gary was the one who was telling me that they would organize the insurance and all those big documents that you just mentioned. And so I said, then that's something that I would forward to the supervisor and figure it out.
Yeah, we can work it out. It's not a big deal.
Great.
Do we need a motion on that?
Well, why don't we wait until we get the submission, the formal submission, then we would vote on it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to your guys'
Okay,
attention,
Michael,
that's
so
all.
you should tell them to make a formal submission,
Okay. Yep.
Okay. and they can send it to me.
Yep.
Okay, great. Anything else? I was down at the ball fields on Sunday when they were doing the cleanup, and it was very exciting, and it was so funny because there were parents and kids in the kids' fields all cleaning up and putting down the new sand and everything. And then at the other end were the adult league. And they were fantastic. And they had all of the great surveying equipment. So their lines are super straight and accurate. They had a camera there that was amazing.
Well, they had the surveying equipment there because we had that issue with the first base coming out. So that
Yeah.
field, all the bases were reset, the proper way of being mounted into the ground, and they were using that. So the bases were all the same height.
It was
Is
great.
what they were going. Yeah, is
Yeah.
what they were going for.
It was really cool to see all those people out there. I mean,
was.
I feel like that's the most people that's been down there to work on our fields since they probably first decided to put fields there. I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah, it really was. I was very excited. There were cars everywhere, and people were laughing, and it was nice. It was really nice. Thank you, Michael. Okay, I'm going to move on then to animal control. Rich had 12 hours of office patrol and meeting and training, 2 calls received, 26 miles traveled, 1 complaint, 2 missing and found dogs reported, and two dogs seized. All right, we can now go to old business. Last time we met, and we had a meeting with with Dale Mitchell, and we had a meeting with Fossil regarding the trails that are being proposed behind Stewart's. We talked about specifically defining the roles that the Fossil plays in these trails, what it is that they exactly do. And this is a subject that comes up all the time. What is the exact role of so-and-so in this situation? So I just wanted to ask you what role you want them to play so that we are being on the offense, so to speak, instead of the defense around all these things. I think we should get what we want, you know?
So why did we, in this case, it makes sense for us to continue to have our trails committee? You know, because that should be an ongoing work with the town trails being in our comprehensive plan to work with a group like Fossil instead of, because, you know, the town, that's a town appointed committee compared to where Fossil is a non-for-profit, and Fossil would have no problem working with that, but you can't put all that responsibility on them. And I don't get why we disbanded that committee just because we got the trails committee in our comprehensive plan. Like, that should be an ongoing committee, especially if we're going to continue to grow our trail system here in town. I mean, that's my opinion, at least, because I feel that Fossil, they do a lot, but they're also probably not going to be able to do it all. They're going to need help from other people. And, you know, if we can get a different group of people through the town on that trails committee to go, like, because Fossil, I mean, they probably won't know anything about the horse maintenance of trails. You know, if people want an equestrian, like, you know. But I think that we should reinstate the trails committee and have them work with us on these trails instead of it, you know, falling to Fossil. I think we should take the help from Fossil whenever Fossil is willing to give us the help, but I don't think it should fall on them to be our de facto trails committee.
Does Fossil want to be the trails committee? Do you know, Matt?
I mean, I don't think that they have a problem helping with it, but I don't think that they, I mean, I don't want to speak for all of them, but I don't think that they want to be the primary trails committee. I think that they're, you know,
they don't want
willing to help. They're willing to help the town expand their trails and do the legwork of that stuff. But I don't know if they really want to do the maintenance. But I know that they want to see a trail system come through. And I feel if we have a trails committee for the town, like, they help with the maintenance and some of those things.
A trails committee seems like a public interface and a group that, you know, represents the town board a little bit, that is accountable to the community and can, and then, you know, parlay with the town board, for example, whereas, like you noted, Fossil is more of an independent group that might have its own. It seems like Fossil is a great group, though, to take possession of some of these properties in certain instances, or to help us manage maybe a system of easements. Though maybe, Warren, you could tell us the easements aren't as dangerous, but
that's what they have proposed, because they're the ones that went out and made the relationship with Dale and are working to create the system. So they are already doing that.
Yeah. So understood. But going forward too, if they're willing to continue doing that, that could be useful. There might be instances where property needs to be taken possession of, and maybe they don't, you know, Fossil doesn't have a lot of assets, which I think makes them an unlikely target for, you know, God forbid, something litigation, whereas, you know, the town of Pine Plains maybe has deeper pockets somehow. But it seems like they could play a great role and do play an amazing role that is
Yeah,
supplemental.
but I'm just saying that I don't think that the whole responsibility of the trail should fall on them.
Sure.
Matt, I completely agree with you. But I don't think that we're ready to form a trails committee yet because we don't really have a trails system yet. And it seems to me that we will want a trail committee that will deal with a lot of issues, but I think it's too early to actually be doing that. That's just my.
But I mean, even looking at the donation of this land, if they were to be able to sit down with Fossil and talk to them, they could probably meet with Fossil more than that and hammer out the Mitchell plan details better than trying to, get two of us there. It could be easier. And we had a committee right up until this last January.
Well, it wasn't an active committee per se. We had a new potential chair of that committee step forward and say they would be willing and were interested in taking on the job of organizing a larger committee and doing some of the other lifting work as it relates to the town, like representing the town's interests as it relates to large developments that are coming into the town that might have trails components. But at some point,
if we were to have somebody like that working with them right now, I think that our trails committee, our trails would be able to expand faster, I guess.
Yeah. I could see us in the meantime, maybe having a trails ambassador or someone who could hold that place and was well informed, but might not have to be the whole Fossil group or something. I don't know when the Durst development themselves will get close enough where they need to be chatting with us in a way that's accountable to the community. But if members of Fossil wanted to step forward and do that, in that they're very well informed about the trails plan, I think that could be important. But that's the one area I think it's important to consider having them.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, but I'm looking for help for them as well.
Yeah.
Well-
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't know whether we've forgotten this or not, but a few years ago, there was a amendment to our comprehensive plan, the trails report.
Yeah.
We should probably pull that out and take a look at that, because that may have some guidance for us in how we develop these trails.
It does have a step-by-step plan.
Yeah, I don't
kinda
remember
at the end of
remember
it.
what was in there. Yeah, but we should
Yeah.
all take a look at that. And I don't think it's too premature to start working on this, because the Durst project is definitely going to include a trail system that may or may not be integrated with the town's trails. So I think the first step would be to pull out that trail report and take a look at it and see what they recommend.
A lot of the members of Fossil, that group, are very familiar with that trails
Yeah,
plan.
they worked on it. Mhm.
There's such overlap here, but it just maybe makes also appoint Fossil as our official trails reps.
Yeah, but I mean, they can also join the Trails Committee as well, but we need some newer, other people as well.
Right. There's all the basic work too, you're saying.
Yeah.
Just doing stuff.
So then if we said to them, Fossil, we would like Fossil to expand the trail system and negotiate gifts to the town, for instance. I mean, because that's what they've been doing. They've been instrumental in talking to, for instance, Dale Mitchell about his gift of trails. But the second step in that is the development of those trails. So Don and I were sort of talking about that the other day and wondering, well, who's going to do what, and what is the exact role?
So that's where I think a Trails Committee comes in. Fossil can help lead them, but I mean, it's also nice to have other town people's input and, people to help. So, I mean, they maintain the tower right now and all the trails and mark the trails going up to the tower. And there's only 8 of us. where once you start cutting in new paths and stuff like that, that becomes a lot for a relatively small committee.
Yeah.
I agree with Warren that we really ought to pull that trails report out
Great.
and refresh what that says.
All right.
I think that's a good start.
I agree.
You know, we've got two major trails right now around Thompson Pond and up to the tower. And just trying to understand, you know, how that all works. There are actually no town trails. So, you know, I think we should assist, but I don't think we should necessarily be the people operating the trails. So anyhow, I'd like to see pull out my copy of the trail report and just see how it all comes to being.
Okay.
But you'd see a role, Don, for the town playing a role in the development of it. So,
an advisory role right now.
well, maybe
You know?
financial too. I don't know. Maybe,
But I personally don't think that, like the piece that they want through the Mitchell property, other than the roadway, I think that's strictly between them and Dale. I don't really think the town has a role there. But then again, that they've got a overall plan on which they feel that that's an important connector to other properties.
I mean, I feel the town has a role there, Don, just because a trail system is in our comprehensive plan now.
yeah,
And I feel that we need to try to help, facilitate to get the trails there.
That has implications when you say that. So I'm not really sure that I want to go there until I see how that trail report was all put together.
I think this issue needs to be revisited.
I agree.
Why don't we have a workshop on trails? We can get into this after we've looked at the trails report.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. The next thing is just the broadband report. It's I think you've all got a copy of it. I was wondering if there were any questions, but also the next phase of the broadband committee is in offering help to any citizen of Pine Plains to get their internet up to snuff. And this is based on actually Don's experience of getting some help from Matt Finley on figuring out how much internet how much
That I didn't have.
Yeah, how much you were paying for that you didn't have. And that's actually the case for a lot of people. And so if you are struggling with your internet, it doesn't seem to be very good, but you're paying for 100, I forget what they're called, megabytes or whatever. You can now contact the broadband committee and someone will come and help you. So I just wanted to announce that because I think it's a great service and Matt Finley is happy to do it.
He did sort you out, Don. You got your whole 100 megabytes.
Yes, in a way, but it's a combination of old equipment, and they had some, failings on their part, and I had some, just some old equipment involved.
Right.
But they did send someone out and explained it. Optimum did come out and cleaned everything up and explained what were my issues.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's really, I think a lot of us don't have what we're paying for or are confused about our equipment. I am.
Right. But I know that a neighbor of mine supposedly had the exact same problems I did. So whether or not they got cleaned up or not, I don't know.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that that's what the broadband committee is evolving into. So it's going to be a help committee and it'll stay kind of out there for anyone who needs them. And we still await word from the county. I think that we're going to get some good news, but I can't say it until I get it. So great. Okay, I'm going to go on to the town park design We approved the initial design, and I'm going to share the screen to show. That's the design. And what we reserved for discussion for tonight was whether having a fountain is possible and what we were going to do with the walkway through it. So we have Suzanne Willett and Vicky Sirocco and Ann Noon here to talk about updates to that. Suzanne or anybody, make sure you're unmuted.
Okay, I don't know what happened to Suzanne.
here.
Is she? Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Want me to talk about the meeting with Tim?
Sure.
Okay. After our Monday workshop, there were questions raised at the workshop about the fountain, and I talked with Tim to clarify some of the issues that people wanted to know more about. One of those issues had to do with maintenance and what would happen at the end of this season. Tim's construction of this will make the drainage really easy. He'll set it up so that one could plug into it with a repost hose that would allow for kind of slow leakage wherever we wanted it, or one could simply attach a regular garden hose and take that out to the street and get rid of the water. It won't be a lot of water. I really didn't do the math, but it would amount to like a bathtub's worth of water. So drainage should not be a problem at the end of the season when it's time to do that. In terms of the water level, I think, Matt, you were concerned about that. Tim advises that in the hot summer months, we do indeed need to keep an eye on it. It would be a matter of simply checking the level of it. And I think that could be easily done through whatever sort of maintenance we set up. One can take a look at that. And if it's low, then it'd just be a matter of taking a hose to the spigot that will be attaching to Jack Banning's building and putting in the additional water. With regard to the concern about debris, the grate will indeed protect against any leaves that might fall into it, and it would be simple to simply clean off that grate and remove any kind of leaves that appear to be collecting. Other issues, I think that also with regard to the water level, there would not be an automatic feeder. That seemed to us that could be kind of excessive, and our budget is limited, and an eyeball check should be enough. Other issues about the fountain. I was surprised, Don, when you asked who is Tim Jones, because I don't know, I see Tim Jones as like a regular fixture of Pine Plains. But I should say a little bit about him because it's kind of like a big deal that he's donating this to the town. Tim is a very well-recognized artisan working in metal. And his stuff is sold and lots of people have it and love it. And, but also along with being a very, very skilled craftsperson, Tim is very much a person of this area. I mean, he grew up in Pine Plains and Stanfordville, was the highway superintendent in Stanfordville in his youth when he was very young, and is kind of a history buff about this town. So it's really special, I think, to have someone who knows this place as well as he does, who's such a gifted artist. So this will be a very special fountain. I mean, the idea and the design was to make it something distinctive to Pine Plains. You can go on the internet and easily buy a fountain, especially a fountain of this small size. It's not a problem. But we didn't want to just go to the internet and buy any old fountain. I mean, we wanted something really special. So the notion of the cow dairy bowls, it was special to this place, connects with the rural farming history of this place. But to do that in a product like Corten steel, also kind of speaks of the contemporary nature of Pine Plains. Corten steel is a modern, simple kind of material. So it talks about Pine Plains as a place not only connected to its past, but also looking forward to the future. Let's see what else. I think, in terms of construction details, Tim told me that his plan was to put feet under this fountain, which will ensure, and you're going to see this fountain with its feet sitting probably on pavers to ensure the kind of even distribution of the weight for the fountain. I think that takes on the major issues that we talked about last time. And it's critical that we get the go ahead for this now. I mean, the fountain's a key piece of the design, and it would really be hard to go ahead full bore with the rest of it without knowing that's going to be there. So
I agree, Susan. This is Ann Noon.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ann.
You did a good
So-
job.
So Ray, are you still here?
Yes, I am. Oh, hold on.
What is your experiences with these fountains? My biggest concern is all the trees around the fountain. And even if you're going to have a grate there, the leaves are going to break and get through those grates and clog it up. And I'm worried about algae. Like, I don't like, even if the evaporation of it without it like having to self-fill. I know that Susan says it's just an eye check with a water hose, but I don't know. And I don't want to create the town a huge, maintenance issue in the middle of town.
Remember, the water is going to be continuously flowing in this thing.
Right, so there wouldn't be any algae.
Well,
you'd still have the possibility of algae and so forth, but there are additives. So the experiences that we've had is that as long as you're keeping up with additives within the water, algicides and different things of that nature, they also provide for coloring, so it's blue and things of that nature to try to help also. You really just need to, if it's not going to be a self filling unit, as far as water control, obviously during the spring and during its operation, you are going to, especially if it's always flowing, you are going to definitely get some evaporation. So it's going to be very important that somebody continuously monitor it, because you don't want the pump to run dry either, because then you're dealing with maintenance with pump failures.
Yeah, exactly.
Pumps do run dry, then they will fail because they're self-lubricating with the water. So it requires attention. So if the members are going to be willing to provide that attention, that's great. My understanding is that there is supposed to be a water source that's supposed to be readily available, I believe, from the existing barber shop, that they discuss the ability of obtaining or having a spigot plumbed from that building, so at least there would be water that's available. Then obviously that'll help tremendously to be able to, fill that fountain when it's required, in light of the fact that it's not going to have, a self-feeding unit as far as the water level.
Right.
And then obviously winterization is a big key as well, to make sure that it gets, that it's designed appropriately so it can be completely drained, including the pump area, and making sure that, any type of antifreeze normally within the pump, or if the pump can be removed in its entirety. So again, that way that during the winter it doesn't freeze and either crack and break the pump or crack and break the fountain.
Right.
So there's definitely attention that's required, and that does include, on a weekly basis, someone going through there and making sure that leaves or any other debris, because it's not only the leaves, but unfortunately, I hate to say people being people, there will be all kinds of things potentially thrown in there. So it'll be important for somebody to kind of monitor it and police it, so to speak.
Well, our committee's willing to do that.
And I think honestly, beyond the committee, Pine Plains deserves a beautiful spot. I think that we have put up with an awful lot of
Yucks.
ugliness in the service of saving money. And we've got a beautiful development happening on the west side of the town and all kinds of new interest in the town, buildings being renovated. I just kind of feel like we need to attract visitors and give them a nice place to sit while they shop. And it's worth having to maintain it. I won't be in office forever, but I think the town can maintain a fountain. And I mean, certainly we have a wonderful buildings and grounds person right now who I know can fix anything and would willingly help. So I think we can make this happen and take responsibility for it. And it's not that huge problem. It's just, we have to do it.
Do you want me to go on to the walkway or?
Well, I think these are separate votes, aren't they?
Okay. We had proposed them as separate, yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions on the fountain?
Just one comment, somewhat in my defense. I didn't ask who Tim Jones was. I asked who Tim was.
Oh, I'm sorry, Don. Okay, so okay. I'm sorry. So you do know Tim Jones. Okay.
And everybody who has seen the rusty guide rail that's along the roads, that's Core 10 steel. So in case you're interested.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of the fountain, as I've expressed many times before, but I won't stand in the way of it. It's not going to cost us that much, and we may learn something from it, or I may learn something from it. So.
Thank you, Don.
I mean, as long as that committee is willing to take responsibility for it, and
Right.
I mean, we're not gonna, if the pump burns out due to water not being there, is the town gonna be the ones who have to pay for the new pump, or is that something that the committee will raise funds for?
It's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
I'd just like to say one thing. This is a town park. This is not, isn't there any responsibility or pride or whatever from the town to take ownership of this? This is the park. You plow it, you mow it. I'm a little confused.
Vicky,
over
I
this.
understand what you're saying there, but it's also add in things that we don't have like an expertise on how to do these things. So like
Well, would it make, I mean, how much expertise do we have on a lot of things that we put in now? I
really
just,
wanna go there?
you know, Ray, would it make a difference if we put in a pump that refilled it? Would that make a difference? And if we went for the extra money, which
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
put
an
in
automatic
a
fill. would
better
be-
pump?
Yeah, an automatic fill would be great. I mean,
Great,
again, it's
yeah.
as long as,
But it's not just the fill. It's the debris that gets in
Right.
there, the
Yeah,
dust,
I-
the
you know-
pine needles, the cigarette butts.
It
Those
has
are
to be
gonna-
looked at on a weekly basis. There's no question.
Yeah.
And
Well-
I don't think it's something that we can't do. And I
I'm
really
so-
like
I
the
talked to
idea.
Bobby. I talked to Bobby today about it. And, you know, when he mows the grass, he has no trouble looking in there to make sure it's all right. And if we had I don't know. I see so many other things go in that don't get questioned like this about, you know, fill or what's in it. I'm just a little confused and I guess maybe a little disappointed. So that's all I have to say. But if it would be better if we put in a better filter in it or a pump, then we'll do it. If that would, you know, if
I think the main thing is as long as it's attended to, you know, whoever it is, again, whether it's, you know, the town's buildings and grounds person or anything. The only reason I mention it is that it just needs a little attention.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to overemphasize that. And I hope it didn't come across that way. All I'm saying is that
No, it didn't from you at all.
it just needs some attention.
All right, I would like to call a vote then. I would like to make a move that we allow the fountain to be put into and accept the gift of the fountain into the town park.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna go no, just because I feel that it's gonna be too much maintenance. So sorry.
Okay. All
Still
right,
get it. You still get it.
thank you very much. On to the path.
Okay,
Can I ask about the pergola?
sure.
Are we planning on doing that?
A pergola is being donated, yes, to the
Okay.
town. Yeah, we're not there right now in terms of talking to the donor about things like the design of it, but it's clearly, if it's to happen, it needs to be in keeping with the rest. So you know, the donor will be involved in conversations, but it's in the plan. Okay. The walkways. After the meeting on Monday, our subcommittee talked a little bit about this, and we decided that we would talk with Sue Robertson. We're going to meet with her either tomorrow, if it stops raining the way it's raining, or over the weekend. She's done this kind of work, and actually I think it's good to have the person who's doing the major landscape work involved in the planning of the walkways. And what we'll talk with her about is the notion of these natural looking walkways, only 3 feet wide, using some sort of material like item 4 that can be packed down, that would be put down to, you know, a necessary depth to kind of keep it there. And we'll find out more when we talk with her. I mean, concerns have been raised about how muddy it's going to get. What about weeds? If she could help us think of some ways of using maybe some landscape cloth underneath all of this to keep the weeds down, that could be part of our conversation with her. But
I use like a citric acid, maybe it is product too, but just vinegar will kill weeds if you don't want.
Right.
Really nice for craft.
Yeah.
I think that's a good approach.
Okay.
I do too.
Do we want a border around it? Could you ask her if she thinks a border would be appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of, it may be an issue of price, but yeah, we'll ask her about it.
All right, can we vote to accept this proposal for the path?
Well, what do we?
Wait to hear
They didn't
back.
give us anything that we're gonna make it out of yet.
We could vote to wait to hear from the designer. But we want a path.
We want to
Yeah,
pass.
we want a path, but I thought that we were trying to figure out what material we were gonna use for the path.
Well, we've gone with your suggestion of the item 4 or that type of, that type of path, so that, and also putting something probably down for the weeds underneath the item 4. I mean, I'm not a designer, but I had my driveway done and that's how it was done. So I don't, but that's why we're talking to the landscaper about it. But we have gone with that, with a 3-foot path and with your recommendations. So it would be, I guess, I mean, we could talk to her and then come back with the price. But it will have to be within our budget, so.
Yeah.
And hoping that it's not going to be the cost that the ground up tires were of $14,000 or
No,
more.
I don't think we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're pretty cheap.
Duffy Layton is going to offer you a real discount for this municipal do-goodery. He's who you're calling.
Oh, for the item 4?
Yeah.
Or whatever the sales are. Good, that's,
I'm speaking out of turn, but go
I'm
Duffy.
sure, right, I'm sure Duffy would be good to us.
Well,
Can we
So-
authorize this? Are people ready to authorize this?
I am.
Sure. Will you guys report back to us though when you have a conversation with the
Yeah.
design?
Monday
Sure.
morning.
Great. All right, so I'd like to propose that we authorize the committee to put in this path as described.
I'll second that.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you, committee.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful work.
Good seeing you all again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye, thank you.
I think it's going to be a real gem, and I'm really excited.
Me too.
Yeah, we deserve beauty.
Yes, yes.
All right, I'm going to move on to the New York State local retirement system approval. We just have to re-approve the document. It was sent to you. This is from the town clerk, and we have to do this once a year, and it has to get corrected. There seems to be a lot of discrepancies that we're trying to clear up that are way in the past. So I think we've got it now, and that's what this document is. Are there any questions on it? If not, I would like to propose that we accept the New York State and local retirement system standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. We don't have a problem with the town hall roof, so I'm going to move on. I had Drew look at it. He walked up there. He said it's in beautiful shape, and he thinks that that asphalt that we found all over the parking lot is coming from the strip along the roof of the trailer. And that roof is in good condition as well. Bobby Lee brought over the big ladder and he went up and looked at everything. So I heard the blessed sound of water in the walls, which at town hall is a good thing. Everywhere else it's a bad thing, but here it's a good thing. So I think we're fine.
Could you take down the drawing, please?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Insurance quotes. I sent you the insurance quotes for this fiscal year. I had budgeted, I always ask our insurance agent in the fall what the prediction is for how far they'll go up, because insurance always goes up. He said to kind of count on around 4 to 5%. So I budgeted for an extra 4% from last year, and it turns out that it's 1.7%. So the total annual premium renewal, and this insurance covers all of the vehicles at the highway and all the buildings we own and the police, and the camp and everything. 53,723.45. So that's about $900 more difference than last year.
I move that we pass that.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Every year I sit down with Paul Zerbato, and we sat down in person this year, and it was great as usual. All right. I think we could table the land bank discussion for another meeting since it's already 8:49. Is that okay, Sarah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this is a discussion. Maybe we should have it at a workshop meeting. It's a discussion of a new idea for creating the funds to build housing. Some of the towns around us are doing it, and we wanted to kind of bring it up as a discussion point. I put out a call for a housing committee to see if anybody was interested, and I got 3 people immediately. And so I was wanting to ask for permission to form an ad hoc housing committee.
That's great.
Okay, to look into the subject of, I don't want to call it affordable housing because that has a bad misnomer. But I don't know what else to call it. So I decided to call it housing because that's the problem. We don't have
You
enough
can call it workforce housing. That sometimes works.
workforce. That sounds a little like serfs to me, but the language is tricky around it.
Mhm.
With your approval, I'd like to get that committee going, and I don't know what we'll find out, but we could look into it.
Or are you going to ask for other people on that committee? Who are the two? Who, can you
Yeah,
tell
I've
us
been
which people?
asking. I've been asking in my newsletter and on Facebook and here right now.
Yeah, it would be great to have a fairly large committee for that.
Okay, like 7.
I think it's, yeah, at least. Right.
Okay, all right, great.
Who are the people who want to do it now?
I have Steve Neal.
Who's great.
Yeah, Mike Conan, who is an architect who I just got an email from him, and very interested in the subject, and Bill Abrams, who's very concerned about it because it's an issue for him. And obviously, and I think Sarah, I would imagine you'd want to be on it.
Well, I'm already very involved in the housing issues with the
Exactly.
Tri-Town Coalition.
Yeah.
So, depending on how much time I have.
So that's what I have so far, and we're looking for more. So could I propose that we form this ad hoc housing committee?
I move that we form an ad hoc housing committee.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And I'll look for a big committee. Okay, next, I was hoping that maybe we could start in-person town board meetings. What do you think? We had a meeting that was closed to the public, but we had a meeting at the community center the other day that worked quite well. It was socially distanced, such a big room.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, my camera's off today because I got my second shot yesterday and I'm not feeling so hot. So in 2 weeks, I would be willing to, I would be willing to do in-person meetings again because everybody else is vaccinated as well and CDC allows it.
I think we can do it. We can also Zoom people in who can't make it. So we have all this at our disposal. It worked. I think it worked pretty well at the meeting we had last Monday.
Fine with me.
Okay. Then I will set that up, and if there's a problem or, we'll just be able to be flexible in case we have to jump onto Zoom. Road speed reductions. Which 4 roads do we want to do? Heather was suggesting.
Schultz Hill and
Johnny
going
Cake
down.
Hollow.
Schultz Hill, Brooks Road, Johnny Cake Hollow. And then we had a request for Victoria Crossing, but because it's a cul-de-sac, Heather was not as positive about that one.
What's the speed limit there currently?
There isn't one.
Yeah,
There's-
Probably 55. It's probably unmarked.
Yeah.
and it's really a short road with what, 10, not even 10 houses on it, right? Just a little cul-de-sac. I'm wondering if, stationing a police car there,
Oh, I think that's what you've got to do.
right. All right,
Well, we could put up a speed limit sign. That's not crazy just because there's 10 houses back there.
but
Yeah.
is that which is the priority, really? Other-
Schultz Hill is a priority. Johnny Cake Hollow is a priority.
Okay,
Brooks Road connects with Schultz Hill. It's really one road.
okay, and then we need one more. We have leftover.
How about Carpenter Hill Road?
We did Carpenter Hill, didn't we?
I thought Carpenter Hill and Bethel Cross, or yeah. got
Yeah, we did. We just
last
did
time.
Carpenter Hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
How about Streeter Farm?
we just did that.
Yes.
Oh, so all the ones that were highlighted are out.
Correct,
We're
because
done.
we've already done them. So what we need is the next set. Johnny Cake, Schultz Hill, Brooks, and
Well, I mean, Victoria Crossing works into the cluster. She said that you want to do them all in like an area. Like Victoria Crossing is right there.
Victoria Crossing goes off a county road, though.
Okay.
I think Victoria Crossing is unnecessary. If you put
We
a
did
stop.
Prospect Hill and Prospect Hill Extension. Those are
That's
sorted.
that's what we should do.
that's connected to Chase Road, so that's already been done, so why not?
Yeah.
Okay,
And it also is very close to Schultz Hill.
excellent, okay. I will fill out the forms and work with Judy on this. So actually, I would love to make, let's see, I think we need an official resolution, so I will write that up and then present it at the next board meeting. All right, at this point, I would like to go into executive session to discuss personnel and zoning issue. Could I have a motion?
So move.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
All right.
So I would like to invite Ray into this and Warren. And Madeline, you can go home. And Alice, thank you so much.
We need
Wait,
to.
Madeline, I'll make a motion to take us out of executive session.
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry. Sarah Jones.
And then I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Favor? Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Madeline.
And Dara, you just want to get off of